Every band across the nation modified its 2020 fall marching season due to COVID-19. Halftime Magazine interviewed college bands in the NCAA Power Five about marching through a pandemic in our November-December 2020 issue. Here's a recap. The Big Ten and Pacific 12 conferences prohibited bands, spirit groups, and fans from its stadiums. Without the need to produce a show every week, the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign in the Big Ten chose to dive deeper into educational topics such as marching health, hearing preservation, and inclusion. The band also recorded songs for athletics to play during games. But most interestingly, however, might be the story behind these cardboard cutouts. We have Barry Hauser, director of the Marching Illini, to tell us more about them and Illinois' season.
Yeah, hello everybody again, and you're going to hear a variety of different things in terms of how bands have responded or been able to respond during the pandemic, and this is one way that we at Illinois, as well as many others throughout the country, were still a visible entity in a very empty stadium. As Christine shared, the Big Ten did not allow fans, did not allow bands. And so we were able to work with our athletic marketing, and they completely funded this project to get pictures of every band member to put in the actual band seating area. That's typically where the band is, that picture that you can see there. And we were visible, and that was our way of participating and being a part of this time when bands weren't present. And of course, we were still able to record some things, as Christine said, that we did in an empty stadium, and then athletics played that during football games, so you could still hear the band. But that was how we kind of dealt with some things, as well as diving into a lot of topics that we weren't typically able to address in a quote-unquote normal season.
That's wonderful that your band will still be able to be there in spirit to cheer on the team. The Atlantic Coast Conference, Big 12 Conference, and Southeastern Conference encouraged bands to attend games and play music from the stands, even though they could not perform on the fields. In the ACC, Clemson University, which appeared on our cover, recorded halftime shows in advance of the games. During each halftime, a show was played on the stadium's video screen with the audio muted. Band members performed the music accompaniment live from their seats. Dr. Mark Spede, Director of Bands at Clemson, is here to tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so I'm just reflecting on especially the beginning of the season. We didn't know what was coming, even August 1st. Didn't know if we were going to be able to field a band, if we were going to be allowed in the stadium at all. And we hadn't invested much time in planning, so when we got the word that we were going to be able to be in the stadium, we started scrambling to get the first show written, and then the university announced the first month would be totally online. So we had to do band camp via Zoom. Once we got the students live, it was more or less like a normal season, the only difference being that we could not go on the field during the game. So we decided to videotape our shows on our rehearsal field, play them in the stadium, on the video board, but muted, and then the band played along with the videos live in the stadium. So I think, looking back on it, it was such a scramble, but I think we made lemonade out of lemons and did as well as we possibly could have, considering all the restrictions.
Thank you, Mark, for sharing that information with us. We turn to the University of Oklahoma in the Big 12. Oklahoma also pre-recorded its halftime production to air on the stadium screen. For its recordings, the full band marched in a block formation, and film crew captured multiple camera angles. The band then divided into 4 groups to serve as pep bands at different games. We're not moving nearly as much. We're using follow the leader and contrary motion for effects, says Brian Britt, director. The University of Georgia in the SEC rehearsed about 1/4 of the band at a time. Each group took turns performing its pregame and halftime shows as standstills. We're playing from the stands in reduced numbers, says Dr. Brett Bauckham, director. The University of Iowa in the Big Ten presented online virtual shows, including its pregame show, drum cadences, and 2 halftime shows. For each show, Iowa recorded half of its band at separate times and edited footage together from both performances. We do a little bit of magic, splicing and putting them together, says Dr. Eric W. Bush, director. And finally, the University of Colorado Boulder in the Pac-12 held a few sectionals and full band rehearsals in an empty stadium. During the rehearsals, the band captured audio that played in the stadium during games. Our in-game stands music is played over the PA system to mimic a game day experience, says Matthew Dockendorf, director. No playbook exists for living and marching through the pandemic. According to Baucom from the University of Georgia, I hope every director, instructor, and performer is extending themselves a little grace. Read the full article at halftimemag.com. Halftime Magazine is now completely free and fully digital, so subscribe today. Keep on marching.